So let's have a look at the pen tool. We've used a lot of the standard shapes before, and you can see by using standard shapes you can get quite a lot from it. You can merge the shapes, you can manipulate the anchor points a little bit, so there's a lot you can do there. You don't always have to draw things completely from scratch, but when you do, the best tool to do that is this pen tool here. So let's hold down on the pen tool and have a look. So I've got a normal pen tool, I've got an add anchor point, delete, and a convert anchor point tool here. So let's just have a look at all three of these, and then I've got a nice downloadable file for you, which should be in your course resources to have a really good practice around some templates on this one. And then we're going to do a really nice exercise with it as well to use all the things that we've been using in the past, the Pathfinder and everything together. But just for this one, we're going to concentrate on the pen tool. So let's choose my pen tool. Now when I start to draw with this, what's quite important is to have a look in the control bar first, because what it's going to draw with is the attributes that I've got here. So at the moment, previously I've been using a blue colour as my fill and no stroke at all. So if I do start to draw with the pen tool, look, it's actually going to start filling in with that blue. So that's not what I want to happen. So let's go back. Let's choose my pen tool. I'm going to choose the fill, and I'm going to click on none, the very first one here with that red stripe through. So I've got no fill at all, but I do want to have a bit of a stroke, so I want to see what I'm actually drawing. Again, once we've made the shape that we're after, we can change the stroke and the fill, but for just the drawing at the moment, let's just put on, say, a 2 point, and I will just change it to black actually, keep it quite simple. So I've got my pen tool, and in its most simple form, I just click and add an anchor point in. Okay, so if I just want a series of straight lines, it's pretty easy. To be honest, I can just draw around, click where I want to go, and there, I've got a straight path. Now if I want to have a complete path with a nice fill area on it, what I do need to do is just make sure I get back to where I started. So as I roll back over that very first anchor point I've just made, see a little circle comes up on my pen. So what that means, it's going to complete the path for me. So let's click there, and now that path is complete. Okay, perfect. So let's just delete that. Backspace again. Right, so it's back to the pen tool. I'm clicking once around here. So again, the pen tool, this is the easy part of the pen tool. It does get a bit more tricky, but it's just a bit of persistence, a bit of practice for you. Now, what we do use a lot with the pen tool is the direct selection tool to manipulate these anchor points around. Because when I'm making a path with the pen, what is quite natural to think, I suppose, as you're drawing, is if I put an anchor point in the incorrect place, say this one, what I can't do with the pen tool is actually grab it and move the anchor point there. Look, so when I'm clicking now, what I'm actually doing is creating more anchor points. I'm just getting into a bit of a mess. So let's just delete that again. Click here. So as I'm moving along, if I do want to move one of these anchor points, I need to go to my direct selection tool, move the anchor point there, look, stick it where you want it to be, go back to my pen tool, and the important thing is rejoining the path. So to rejoin the path, you can see a little line comes up when you click on the anchor point, and you can carry on drawing there. Okay, so the direct selection tool is used an awful lot. Now if I hover over the direct selection tool, you can see it's a direct selection tool and it says A, because that A is actually a little shortcut to get to the direct selection tool. So again, if we're doing this a lot, let's press A, move my anchor point, and the shortcut for pen tool is P. So if I press P, I'm back to my pen tool again. Okay, so again, just a little bit quicker if you're kind of jumping between the two tools there. So let's join that path up there. Okay, pretty straightforward. Straight square anchor points. But now let's look at the more tricky ones. So I'm clicking once. Now if I want this to curve over to my next anchor point, what I need to do is click and drag on the screen. Okay, so I'm not going to click once, I'm going to click, hold down and drag, and then I'm pulling out these control anchors here. Look, every time I'm dragging, I'm making these curves, and these are the tricky ones. These ones are going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to do a bit of an exercise drawing these shapes here. So just clicking once, square anchor point, click and drag is a curved anchor point around here, and again join up to where I started to complete my path. Okay, so click, drag, click, 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 drag. Now the curved ones, again, they are a bit tricky, but what you want to try and not do really is go too far with these handles here. Look, if you curve it too far up, it gets a bit of control. You don't want to go back the other way. Look, you kind of want to just continue going the way you are with the path and draw there. The less anchor points you have, the more natural the curve can be as well as you're coming around here, look. So again, it's just a little bit of practice having a little go round with the actual pen tool. But let's just make another path with some curves and some square anchor points in here. Okay, now let's hold down on my pen tool because I've got a few different options here. I've got add, delete and convert. So pretty much do as they say on the tin. If anywhere on a path that I want it to move, so for example I've got an anchor point here, I've got an anchor point here, but if I want this path to stick up here, obviously I need an anchor point there to control that change in direction. So this is the add anchor point tool. Let's choose that. I can click on the path, add an anchor point, back to my direct selection tool, click, and now I'm able to edit and move that path there. And the delete anchor point tool, very much the same. If I click on an anchor point, it will remove it. It won't make a hole in the path. It will remove that anchor point and just join up the two either side there. So let's click on the anchor point. There you go, back there, delete it backwards. And we also have a convert anchor point tool. Now there's another way of doing this, which I did show you earlier. Choose the convert. If I've got a curve, look, if I click once on that curve, it squares it off for you. If I click and drag on that curve, it curves it for us. So it's the same as using these two little buttons up here though, look. So I can square it, square it, curve it, or again with this tool, curve, square. It just swaps the anchor points over. Now, before we go too far with the pen tool, what I just wanted to kind of show you really is all of these options under here can be used on any path. So it doesn't have to be a path that we've drawn with the pen tool. Okay, so this does become quite useful. So let's draw, again, standard square. Let's go to my pen tool. Let's go to add anchor point tool. Add an anchor point in there. Let's grab that with my direct selection tool. Pull it out here. And again, I might want that to curve. So again, I could either click on curve there, or I could choose my convert anchor point tool. I can pull these handles out here, look. Okay, and again I could choose that anchor point. I could come into the convert anchor point tool, drag it there. So again, starting with a standard shape, we can use the add, delete and convert on any of them. Okay, so just spend a few minutes having a little click around with that, because the next video I'm going to show you is actually we're going to use a template and we're going to draw over some shapes and really get used to using this pen tool. But just before we do that, spend a couple of minutes having a quick go on a blank